Hello, my name is Michael Parkman, and welcome to The Good Life, what it is and how to achieve it. In our last few episodes, we talked about control, what you can control and what you can't, and habits, how to change your habits from poor habits to more productive habits. And today we're going to talk about the problems with imagination. Okay, it's been said that our suffering is more in imagination than reality. Well, that's very true. If you don't believe me, can you honestly say that you've never worried yourself sick about something, and then when you finally encountered it, you found out it was not nearly as bad as you thought? In other words, you wasted a great deal of time and energy worried about something that never came to pass. Suffering. Okay, now we also talked about as a man thinketh, so is he. So what today is primarily about is adjusting your thinking. Okay, we deal with a lot of things. We deal with things from the past. We worry about things in the future. Well, the problem with that is whatever's in the past we can't change, and the future is not written yet. So that leaves us with what? The present. The present is named so because it is just that, a gift. It is a present. So when you get a gift, you should cherish it, honor it properly. Stay in the moment, stay in the present. Okay, when we're talking about things in your past, we all have situations and events and experiences in our past that left either a positive or a negative effect on us. Well, the problem is that we take those feelings from that time and we assign them to something today. Okay, what that does is that colors our idea of what's going on today with the paintbrush from the past. Well, the issue with that is that, as I said last week, that what's going on today may not be relevant at all to the way a similar situation was handled in the past. Learn to leave the past in the past. You have to look at things objectively. And one of the ways to look at things objectively is to look at the situation as it is in the here and now. The next thing we deal with is the future. We can't be satisfied with the present because we're always putting ourselves in the future. For example, a lot of us put our trust and hopes and feelings into external things. If I just had this girl, this boy, this house, this car, these clothes, if I just had these things, then I would be happy. That's your imagination. Your imagination tells you that if I have the latest, greatest, whatever it happens to be, then my life would be perfect. Or if I just had enough money, life would be great. Well, the problem with that is that once you get what you desired, very shortly you're no longer satisfied with it. There is something else that your imagination says that you need to have, then that will make you happy. See, you're always chasing the brass ring and you never catch it because it's impossible, because you're being led by your imagination. And your imagination can always give you something else to reach for. Now, in some situations, it's better. If you're working at a career and you decide that you want to pursue something and go after the position that you want, and you do all the things that's necessary, you push yourself to get to that point, and you get there, that's great. But also realize that while you're putting forth your best effort, that it is a great possibility that you might not get what you're fighting for, because it's not entirely up to you. But your imagination is entirely up to you. You decide that you want this fancy car, this house, all the trappings of success. Someone else has it. You have to have not only what they have, but you have to be better, keeping up with the Joneses, as I've said once before. Well, the problem is that once you get those things, you're not happy with it for long. And the other downside is that you're struggling trying to meet the payments to keep up this lifestyle that you want to project. So your imagination takes you into a dangerous place, because you feel like if I have this, that, or the other, then I will be happy, then I will be successful, and people will look at me and say, gee, what a great person he is. He's a go-getter. He's whatever adjective they want to give to you. But inwardly, every month, you're struggling on, how am I going to meet this note? Which one am I going to pay today? Which one can I put off till next week? How can I make arrangements for this one? And whoa, if something unexpected happens and it takes away from the budget that I've got stretched too thin already, because I can't get the car fixed and pay the light bill at the same time. So even though your imagination told you that having this particular possession would be great, the reality is that it caused you more suffering. We have to learn to look at things objectively and put our desires and imaginations in check. We cannot let our mind run free, because our desires will lead us into dangerous places. It's great. Oh, this is beautiful. I love it. Then when you get it, it's not so great. All of us have seen someone who we consider attractive. And from afar, we look at them and we decide that because they fit our idea of attractiveness, that they have all of the qualities that we think an attractive person should have. He or she is beautiful. They must have a great personality. They must be so much fun to be with. It would be so enjoyable to be with that person. And you make all of these judgments based upon the superficiality of beauty, attractiveness. Now, the problem is when you get with that person, if you are fortunate enough in your mind that you are able to approach that person and get into a relationship, what happens when that person doesn't fit your idea of who they should be and who they are? They're still just as beautiful as they were, but reality says they have a very bad personality. They're selfish, narcissistic, mean, nasty. Not at all what you thought when you first observed them from afar and saying, man, he or she is beautiful and I would just love to be with that person. Your imagination causes you trouble. What we have to learn to do is look at each and every situation objectively. Look at it as it really is in the today, the here and now. What is it for real? If you look at someone objectively and you take the time to scrape away that veneer that you painted over them, and you watch their actions, you will then begin to see the truth, because you are what you do. Let me repeat that, because it's very important. Because in today's world, you hear so many people saying, that's not who I am, when they get caught up in some scandal. You are what you do. One more time, you are what you do. So therefore, if you're observing somebody, and even though they gave you verbal cues and everything, and they presented themselves as a wonderful person, over time, if their actions and their words don't mesh, believe their actions, not the words. You can also apply that to yourself. Be honest with yourself. Observe your actions and realize that your actions are who you are. So if you don't like your actions, change them. Don't gloss over and say, that's not who I am. That's what you did. You can't rob a bank and then say, I'm not a thief. By the very act of robbing a bank, that makes you a thief. So we have to stop lying to ourselves. And if we can stop lying to ourselves, then it becomes easier to look at others objectively. And when you look at other people objectively, you stand a better chance of making the correct, rational decision about how you should proceed in any particular event. And this goes with everything that you come in contact with. Look at it objectively. If you have to strip it down to its barest minimum so that you can get to the root of whatever it is, then you can make an objective decision, a rational decision about what to do. You go to a used car lot and you want to buy a car. And all the cars are shiny and pretty and all shined up and glistening in the sunlight. And this is this fancy sports car that you want, that you couldn't afford it new under any circumstances. But now here it is, it's dropped in your lap.